Mack Truck, aka your worst nightmare. Mack Truck, aka your worst nightmare. Mack Truck, aka your worst nightmare. Mack Truck, Mack Truck, Mack Truck.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Listen, we got a little bit of a late start today, and I appreciate you guys for joining us here. This is Mack Truck in the morning ish, 12:45, 12:50 ish Eastern Standard Time. So right now we have actually switched to the Mack Truck pod page, and I didn't actually think I was going to be able to get back on to the truck page today to start it out, but we're here. It's awesome. We're doing it. We're on the map. We're out here on the Unknown Network. And I apologize if you guys are seeing me from this side of things. I am getting everything shared out. I'm doing a little experiment right now to see if I can actually keep this going here. So I appreciate you guys for joining me here on the Mack Truck pod page itself. We're here. Got to fix some screens here. Got to get it shared out. So if you have the Mack Truck pod page on your TikToks, on your everywhere else, please make sure to hop on, share it. We're over here for the time being. So I appreciate, like I said, I appreciate you guys for being here with me right now as I try to get everybody over here on this side on the map. Welcome in. I had a little bit of a switch with the platforms, so I am actually live in one and live on the other at the same time. So we're here. We're talking sports. Listen, like I said, got a little bit later of a start today just because I was trying to figure out some stuff. But we're here. We're going to get it together. We're going to get it shared out. If y'all don't mind helping me do that, like I said, multitasking at its finest over here in Truckland. So, like I said, if you just give me a quick second here, we will get it rolling on this side of things as well, as much as we can anyway. I appreciate you for sharing it out, Mr. Executive Producer. And just if you guys are aware over here on this side or on this side, we got a lot to talk about, a little bit of a shorter docket in terms of what that looks like. So we have MLB, we have UFC, WNBA, and NFL to start out the Tuesday slate of things here on Mack Truck in the Morning, Mack Truck Podcast, Mack Truck-ish, all the things. And like I said, I appreciate you guys for joining here with me today, presented to you by the Unknown Network. Make sure you're following all things Unknown. Make sure you're following Recognized Game Pod. That comes back on the 23rd of this month, just at the tip of college football season. Also, make sure you're checking out On the Map. There is no On the Map show this week, possibly some reviews. You know, sometimes shows have to take a little bit of a break and get everything together. We also have our Unknown Network draft. I can't wait. And I'll actually be able to be in it because it's later at night and it fits with my schedule. So I appreciate that. I'm absolutely excited. Also, make sure to check out, obviously, the Metro podcast on the Unknown Network, as well as flying out with that dude Biggs. So we're here. We're talking. Like I said, a little bit of a late start today, and I'm kind of multitasking. So a little interesting to see how my experiment goes. But we're here. Okay, we're here talking sports. Like I said, I'm trying to see if I can get some people over here. I don't have a lot of traffic on here in its entirety. So I'm going to see if we can't get some folks over here instead. So like I said, but we're here. We're talking sports. If you guys are on this page, please, please, please share it out. It's going to be a good one. Going to be a long one. Not long in terms of details, but not long in terms of the length of the time that we are out here. So once I get everything set on this side to go out, we're talking sports, talking football. I'm excited to be here. Listen, the WNBA in itself has been nothing short of interesting. And when I say that, we've had political things, we have had controversial things, we've had high scores, we've had low scores, like everything that comes with the realm of the WNBA. Okay. Today's drink is brought to you by Dirty Dr. Pepper. Okay. We had coffee earlier, doing the Dirty Dr. Pepper. It's what we're here to do. All things caffeinated here on the Mack Truck Show. Mack Truck in the morning, all of the things. Mack Truck in the morning ish. So listen, here's what we're doing. The WNBA, again, is in, not really, today's topic is not so much controversial. It is definitely, however, interesting in terms of waivers, in terms of the team that this person went to. And if anybody has Alfonso Henry, my friend, my great friend here on the pod realm, send this to him because this was a topic that he wanted to talk about. And I wasn't necessarily going to talk about said topic just for the plain fact that it didn't have, to me, it just didn't have a lot, like there wasn't a lot to offer in terms of information. But once I actually sat down and did the research, this is a very interesting topic just in terms of the waiver wire around the WNBA and everything like that. So like I said, I do appreciate y'all being in here for me, with me right now, all of the things. Make sure to grab your daily heart music as well. Make sure you're tapping the screen. Big shout out to the network and our executive producer for doing so. So we're going to start it out. Let's get it going. Let's get it together. All of the things with the WNBA, starting out the New York Liberty. Okay, the New York Liberty, 2024 WNBA champions, all the things. WNBA team, one of the historic teams, if you will. Okay. And you can find this information, obviously, at WNBA.com as well as ESPN.com, Associated Press, via Alexa Philippou and Kareem Copeland. The New York Liberty waived Benajah Hamilton late last week. The Washington Mystics acquired her and were awarded her off of waivers. Lainey Hamilton played 126 games in New York and was a huge part of that component for the 2024 championship run that they did go on. This season so far, she's averaging just about 5 points at 4.7 points per game, about 2 rebounds at 1.9, 1.5 assists, and just about a half a steal at 0.3. So here's my overall, I don't want to say issue because it's not really an issue. It's more or less like it was kind of a surprise as far as this is concerned, as far as getting, as far as receiving that waiver wire for Washington. She ends up getting waived and going to the Washington Mystics. And scarily enough, the Washington Mystics, in their own right, have gotten a lot of great draft picks. They obviously they picked up Sonia Citron, they picked up Kiki Arifin the year before, they picked up Lauren Betts this year as well in terms of the draft. They picked up Lucy Olson 2 seasons ago. Out of the University of Iowa. So they've got a lot of pieces, and now that they're adding Lainey Hamilton, it adds to that interesting dynamic up in Washington in its entirety, just because Lainey Hamilton also plays the 3-4 position, and there's not a lot of parity, I feel like, right now in terms of like being able to find those two-way combo guards. So for me, it's interesting to really see the fact that Washington was able to grab Lainey Hamilton out of the waiver wire, because, you know, once you get waived, it's almost free game. It's almost free game. So it's just like you're sitting there kind of watching, kind of not, kind of just waiting. And just according to some reports coming out of the WNBA and Kareem Copeland himself, the Washington Mystics didn't quite want to just jump after Lainey Hamilton. They wanted to really sit down and just be patient with it, just in terms of waiting, because New York didn't renew her contract, didn't really give her any inclination that they were wanting to keep her, which is okay because she's got a ring with them. She's been there since 2021, has played 126 games, like I said before. Kind of low on the average numbers just because she has kind of been battling some injuries and been battling trying to get back into the rotation for the New York Liberty itself. So it's just interesting to see how this is going to play out. The Washington Mystics play the Vegas Aces later tonight at 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 9 Central, 7 Pacific, I do believe. And so the other interesting thing is with her kind of not really joining, but kind of joining the forces in terms of being able to possibly hop in that starting 5 rotation, starting 6 rotation for the Washington Mystics. But Delaney Hamilton is very much a 3-and-D player. If you've ever watched her play, ever watched her post up, ever watched her really just talk about the flow of basketball when she's on the court. And when I mean talk, I mean like she's playing it, she's moving around, all the things. When you see her play the game, she's very much a high level individual. She's very much, I'm going to get to my spots, I'm going to find my shots. If not, I'm going to create shots for my teammates. And that's one thing that Washington has been focused on this year in its entirety, is finding your spots, getting your open person, finding your open teammates, and really going for that big one in terms of finding the game, finding your shots, all the things. Now you're partnered with Kiki Irfin, Lauren Betts, and you have Sonia Citron at that 4-5 spot. So my thing is I'm real interested to see how this plays out, especially with the fact that like I said yesterday, if you were with us yesterday, we talked about just how the back half of the WNBA season has started so far, and the fact that obviously we're just now almost a month past the All-Star break, so things are going to start heating up. Teams are going to start making moves to try to get that final push into the back half of the WNBA season itself, rather. So I'm excited to see where this goes, how this goes, all of the things. And I think for all of us that watch the league in terms of WNBA, there's a lot of parity. That's the only thing that's missing, is there just needs to be more parity and variety as far as so we have some teams that are blowing teams out, we have some teams that are really, really close. It's just the scope of it is so, it's just like it's a never ending slope, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But my overall point is that when we're here with the WNBA, when we're here with some of these players, it is absolutely something that you love to see. So in the same retrospect, it's also the fact that these players play at a high level. So seeing these trades, seeing these waves, seeing everything, it's very much it's very much a lot to take in. So when we try to reach a collective thought as far as why did people make this trade? Well, sometimes these teams don't have room, and that's where New York has been in terms of the entirety of the situation. So if you guys are watching, if you guys are sharing it, I appreciate you guys for being in here. Thank you so much. So my question is, as far as Washington, does Washington think that adding Delaney Hamilton is going to essentially get them out of this 3-point percentage hole? Because right now the Washington Mystics are dead last in the WNBA when it comes to 3-point efficiency, which is interesting to me because you have somebody like a Sonia Citron who was known for shooting the threes. You have a Lucy Olsen, again, who was known for shooting the threes. You have a Kiki Iriafin who can play between the 3, 4, and 5 and also shoot the 3. Lauren Betts at 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", playing that primary 5 spot, is also capable of shooting a 3-point shot. So that's what I want to know is from some of these collectives in terms of watching and in terms of playing, in terms of just everything in its entirety. And I see some comments down there. in the chat here, going back to our executive producer as far as our network draft happening on the recognized game re-air reboot debut on the Underknown Network. I absolutely can't wait. We talk all things sports here on the Mack Truck Podcast, Mack Truck in the Morning ish. I appreciate you guys for joining me. Just going over the Benajah Lady Hamilton. I don't know why I keep wanting to call her Harrison. There's so many double last names in the league, so I do apologize for that miscue. Sometimes it happens, but listen, we're here. We're in charge. We're Lodge. All of the things, and I'm just glad to be in a space with everybody where we can talk sports at a high level. So the other thing about this is now that we have just more clarity as far as teams being set, all the things, I kind of want to jump to the Indiana Fever in terms of their signings because they just signed Mercedes Russell off of waivers as well because Damaris Dantas had a season-ending knee surgery, I do believe, to repair her meniscus. So, and I was kind of surprised at the entirety of this whole thing, just because when you think your team is set, or you think a team, feels like they have all of their pieces in its entirety, it's like, okay, like we've got all the pieces we need, to try to make this run, try to get into playoffs, try to turn our season around and get one of those spots. Then you flip it around and you're like, okay, well, somebody's always going to get, not always, but 97% of the time there's going to be an injury of some kind, but the percentage of it being a lower, being like a season-ending injury is a little bit lower in retrospect. So with Damaris Dantas, who is coming off the bench at that 7 or 8 spot in our post position, obviously next to Aaliyah Boston taking that starting 5 position, and then you have Maisha Hines Allen at that 4 or 5 position as well. So you add a Mercedes Russell. Thank you for the daily harmony. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate you guys here on the Mack Truck Podcast page. Please go ahead and tap the screen, share it out. Let's help get some of these rankings up here as well. If you're over here on the other side of the stream, like I said, we're still running 2 screens here, and that's totally okay. Like I said, my name's Mack here, Mack Truck in the Morning-ish, presented to you by the Underknown Network. Thank you for the follows. I appreciate it. Also, babes in the chat. Everybody write in capital letters in the chat. Hey, babe. She loves when you do it. She's fronting if she's saying this. She don't. Okay. Let's get us there. Let's share it out. Let's keep talking sports here on the Mack Truck Podcast. Listen, we're here. It's Monday. No, it's not. It's Tuesday. This is how I know my week is off, because it's Tuesday and yesterday was Monday. Taco Tuesday. For those of you who enjoy tacos of any sort. Oh, man. Like I said, you can find all the WNBA information on WNBA.com, ESPN.com, the Associated Press as well. My wife was laughing at me, and that's totally fine. Like I said, we like to give you a real inside feel here on the Truck Show, because all kinds of things can happen. And like I said, I appreciate you guys for joining me. Make sure you share it out. Like I said, we're going to start going live from the podcast page, which is what you're looking at my pretty face on right now. If you're on the TikTok sphere, again, presented to you by the Underknown Network, as well as TikTok Live. For if you're just joining us, like I said, talking WNBA, UFC, a little bit of MLB, and a little bit of NFL news regarding Kyler Murray and the Minnesota Vikings, as well as the insane extension that Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys decided that they were going to pay Quinnen Williams rather than paying George Pickens. I have a lot to say about that. I'm kind of frustrated, if I'm being quite honest with you. But it's a part of sports. Sometimes it happens. But we're moving on. Here it's about 13:10 here in Michigan on a Tuesday, Taco Tuesday. See some comments here. How do you feel about the whole WNBA situation with what happened? Well, it depends on which situation you're speaking about, my friend Chris. There's been a lot that's gone on. If you watched the show yesterday, we definitely dove into it in its entirety, but we can definitely give a recap. Personally, in terms of just everything that's happened with the entirety of the trans rights comments from Sophie Cunningham, the insane, and I say insane because just the string of events that has led up to this is just rather coincidental, Obviously with the ejection of DJ Carrington and the hard foul given to Sophie Cunningham during their play against the Chicago Sky. And here's the other thing I didn't mention, and I think partly because I didn't actually realize this happened, but as the foul was happening, or after the foul was happening, rather, she drew blood. Like DJ Carrington drew blood to Sophie Cunningham's mouth. So again, the ejection was warranted. And another thing that I also kind of failed to mention, and I'm glad you brought this up, Chris, because I wanted to go back and backtrack with some of the things that I did fail to or forget to mention yesterday, is that Sophie Cunningham has also come out and said that she also she also got suspended or ejected last season for a very similar thing, because it was something that had happened. Like, she did it. It wasn't a basketball move. Like, she admitted it. Like, there was nothing to do with race about it. Like, if you're making a non-basketball play or being a little too aggressive, it's a thing. Like, you're going to get in trouble. You're going to get suspended. You're going to get ejected, whatever that looks like. So it's very much just like, you didn't make a basketball move. You were trying to make a basketball move, but all of that, all of the details in its entirety are just, it's okay. Like, it just, sometimes it happens. It's not, it's not. I would be more upset if DJ Carrington had come out of the gate and was just purposely trying to come after everybody on the Indiana Fever, but she literally was going to make a basketball play. It was contact to the head, face, and neck area. It's an automatic upgrade. That's how it is in WNBA. I don't make the rules. I just watch and I talk about it, all the things. I think there's just been a lot of political bouncing around when it comes to certain players, and it's not right and it's not fair. Christopher says down here in the chat, I mean, if you look at LeBron and his flops and the kind of dumb shit, but when it's more kind of personal, yeah, I mean, but also at the same time, like, if we're gonna kind of talk about flopping happens everywhere. Like, it doesn't, like, it doesn't matter who you are, what team you play for. Flopping in itself is part of the it's a part of the game, because, like, obviously, like, you want to try to play it out as much so you can get the foul, get the extra point, whatever that looks like, type of thing. So I completely understand it. I completely get it. It's not something that's, so sought after, I should say, in terms of that's concerned. So it's just interesting to me. But either way, we're moving on into the next topic here, and I appreciate you guys for joining me. So like I said, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to everything on the Underknown Network. We're moving into the realm of the MLB. Haven't been able to talk baseball for a little bit, but we're here talking baseball, here talking sports per normal. And you can catch us here daily on Mack Truck in the Morning-ish, the Mack Truck podcast here, presented again by the Underknown Network, as well as TikTok Live itself. 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11:30 Central Standard, 10:30 Pacific, and I believe 8, 9, or 10:30 Mountain Time, because I don't know Mountain Time very well, but I'm just going to assume that's the thing. Listen, you can find this information at MLB.com, ESPN.com, as well as ESPN.com via Alden Gonzalez. Listen, we're talking Tariq Skubal, okay? Talking Tariq Skubal. Obviously, if you were with us last week when we talked about the interesting trade that happened between the now home team of Tariq Skubal, the LA Dodgers, and his former team in the Detroit Tigers, you know that this trade has been interesting. You know that this trade, in terms of the team he went to, just gives the LA Dodgers more firepower. Obviously, with the LA Dodgers acquiring him, it gives up cap space for the Detroit Tigers to kind of move around. But also, in the same respect, I want to talk about the Detroit Tigers, because not only did they trade away Tariq Skubal, okay, they also traded away Casey Mize, and I don't understand what the vibe is here. I don't understand what the move is why you just gave up two of probably the best pitchers in the AL, and why? Why? Like, the Detroit Tigers need firepower at pitching. You trade away two of the best pitchers in baseball who happen to just be on your team, and you trade them away for what? Like what is the reason? Like, because there doesn't seem to be a good reasoning, and I literally can't seem to understand why this is a thing. I don't get it. I'm honestly kind of frustrated with it. It don't make some sense to me. Either way, I'm just at this point kind of like, okay, what are we actually doing? Like, what is y'all's overall goal? Like, what is happening? It doesn't make any sense to me. And frankly, maybe I'm not meant to make sense of it. If you're a baseball fan like myself, avid baseball fan, New York Yankees fan, don't judge. You don't have some room to talk. Okay, we got 27 championships. Although the last one was in 2009, and that's fine. Literally almost a decade. Kind of over it. But either way, I'm a baseballer in itself. But I don't understand why y'all got rid of two of y'all best pitchers. Either way, Terry Scoble had his interesting debut as an LA Dodgers pitcher last night. Did not have a great start. Let's just put it that way. When I say great, I mean great, and I mean typical in the realm of Terry Scoble. Again, if you watch baseball, if you see baseball, if you know baseball, that is the standard. Terry Scoble is one of the best pitchers, and he has one of the fastest fastball pitches in baseball in its entirety. Okay. And he had a very atypical start. I mean, it's just it is what it is. Sometimes you're just not going to have the starts or the games that you're used to, especially with getting used to a new system, getting used to a new skipper, getting used to new teammates, obviously getting used to new surroundings in terms of being traded, all of the things. Now, like I said, the LA Dodgers were losing at said point in this game. They obviously came back to win 6-5 against the Kansas City Royals. Again, if you watch baseball, you know this. Again, the Dodgers came back to win after Scoble had a very atypical debut and start with the Dodgers. Scoble only pitched 5 innings, recorded 95 pitches for the game's first initial 15 outs. Again, coming from behind 6-5 to beat the Kansas City Royals. And here's the interesting part about this, guys, is up until this trade, this Detroit Tigers LA Dodgers trade for Terry Scoble, the LA Dodgers had literally only won one game while constructing this trade. So essentially, they went 1 for 9, 1 for 10 during the entire length of this trade for Terry Scoble, which I find very interesting. I'm sitting here like, the World Series champions have had one win in the past 9 or 10 games while constructing this trade for Terry Scoble. I mean, I get teams have routes and everything, but this is an atypical pattern for the LA Dodgers. So it was kind of alarming. Like, are people hurt? Is something Roberts or is something, is there no team chemistry in the locker room right now? What does that look like? And I think a lot of it has to do with exactly what Dave Roberts said earlier last night after the game. Is just like, everybody's getting used to some of the new faces. Everybody's getting used to just, we're now in the thick of baseball season. So it's a lot of typical baseball things, but just kind of seems atypical for the Dodgers because it just seems like nothing really phases them when it comes to baseball season. So for me, I'm just sitting here like God, it's weird to see them in a rut, but it's also just like, okay, like this is, it's typical for baseball, but it's just weird when you don't see this type of thing, or you see this type of thing happen very little to powerful teams like the Dodgers. So either way, I'm glad to see Terry Scoble seems to be happy playing so far for Dave Roberts and the World Series champion LA Dodgers. I really don't need them to win another one as a Yankees fan, and I feel like I'm scarred at this point with such a thing. I don't need them to win another one. Don't want them to win another one. Obviously, I need my Yankees to do such a thing, but it's okay because baseball is back. Sports are here. Like I said, if you guys are joining me, thank you for joining us here on Mack Truck in the Morning-ish, the Mack Truck podcast. I'm here with you. My name is Mack, talking sports. We're here on the truck page itself in its entirety, and I'm glad that I finally got this thing up and rolling. Technology and being randomly banned out of nowhere. And I think part of it was because if you follow me or follow my page, look at my content. Like, I share a lot on both of my pages. I share a lot on my personal TikTok as well as my show TikTok. So I think they thought somebody was trying to hack it or spam it or whatever. But no, TikTok, I promise it's me. Okay. StreamYard, I promise it's me on both ends of the thing. So like, you see my face? I'm putting out the content on both sides. It's not spam job. It's not none of that. Either way, I said, I appreciate you guys for joining me. Please like, share, and subscribe to everything in the Underknown Network. I literally cannot stress that enough. The things that we have going over here at the Underknown Network are literally bar none. Quite literally bar none. It's probably the best, if not one of the best, small market networks in terms of internet content and social content in its entirety. Big shout out to our executive producer, Evan Thunder Bradfield. Also, the official founding member, partner, sponsor, and part executive producer of the Mack Truck Show. And obviously, our merchandise sponsor here. Listen, right now, when you shop online at inmybag.bigcartel.com, as well as the TikTok shop, you can use the code word truck for 15% off your entire first order when, again, you shop online at inmybag.bigcartel.com, as well as the TikTok shop. And make sure you're getting all your Mack Truck apparel, because that's where you get Mack Truck apparel. I no longer sell it individually. I have a lot of leftover inventory, but as far as getting everything in terms of ordering it, that's where you need to go. That's where you need to go. All things Mama Combat, all things Home Team, all things GOAT line. And I see in the comments from the network itself, big announcement from On the Map this week. Oh, listen, that's breaking news. I didn't even know that was a thing. Listen, I need the executive producer to let me know what that news is. I'm not going to break it, but I'm now highly intrigued on such a thing. So, again, big announcement coming from On the Map this week here on the Underknown Network as well. Obviously, whatever breaks there, we break here right afterwards, and whatever breaks there and here, we break all over the network. So make sure you're following, make sure you're tuning in, all the things. But still, back to baseball in terms of just some of our rankings here in its entirety. Now, listen, and I've got the top 5 from the entirety of baseball. We've got the standings, we've got the records, and we're going to get into it here right now. Starting with the LA East, okay? Or the AL East, rather. I said LA because obviously I'm looking at the LA Dodgers still in my notes, and it's totally okay. Listen. AL East, number 1, Tampa Bay Devil Rays at 72-46. Number 2, my New York Yankees at 66-52. Number 3 is the Boston Red Sox. And I'm going to stop right there. The Boston Red Sox, prior to this current game series they are in, won 15 games straight after being complete shite at the beginning of baseball season. They were the worst team in the AL at the beginning of baseball season. As a Yankees fan, nothing excites me more than to see the demise of the Boston Red Sox. However, as an athlete, as a logical fan, okay, I actually really love to see this. I love to see that the Boston Red Sox are making a comeback in the season because, like I said, right now they're number 3 in the AL East standings at 64-54. They're about 10 games behind the just about eight games behind number 1 Tampa Bay, again at 72-64. New York Yankees are 66-52. Number 4, the Baltimore Orioles are 57-62, and number 5 rounding out the AL East for the top 5 rankings. The Toronto Blue Jays are 57-63. Moving over into the AL Central here on the Mack Truck Podcast. Again, I appreciate you guys for joining us here on all platforms. Okay. The Chicago White Sox, also another team who is complete shite, complete ass, okay, complete booty cheeks last season with one of the worst records, and because they were so bad, and also it was an entire season ago, I can't even remember how bad. I just know that they were in dead last. But right now, in 2026, at 1323 hours on August 11th, Taco Tuesday, here with you guys, the Chicago White Sox are number one in the AL Central at 61 and 56. The Minnesota Twins are 59 and 61. The Detroit Tigers, ironically enough, even after trading away Casey Mize and Tariq Skubal, are in that third spot at 58 and 60. Almost 500 for them. And you'll love to see it. I'm interested to see if they can keep winning games without having the core pitching that they just, traded away. And the other thing for me in this entirety of a just baseball realm, MLB realm, if you will, is some of these teams that we've seen prior to what we're talking about now have literally been complete booty cheeks. It's wild to me to really sit here and kind of understand like how and I think part of it is because there's like 185 186 games during the entire length of baseball season. Hello Mimi, welcome in. I appreciate you being here with me on the Metro podcast. Thank you. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Let's get some of these numbers up. Gonna start doing the show from here. If you don't know, Alia, welcome in. Everybody on the other side, welcome in. I see a bunch of traffic here. We'd love to see it. Thank you. Make sure you get your daily heart meets, all the things. Make sure you share it out. Thank you for joining the team. We're going to try to get the numbers up over here as well. Either way, with baseball season being so long, obviously droughts are going to happen, losing streaks are going to happen, all of the things in its entirety. So, with that being said, it doesn't surprise me that the Detroit Tigers are number 3 on that list. Thank you for the hand heart. I absolutely appreciate it. Thank you so much for all the love and support. And like I said, kind of just going into more of the top 5 here. Sticking with the AL Central, the Cleveland Guardians. I'm gonna just call them Cleveland Indians because that's what the hell they are. This whole name change is driving me nuts as an old school baseball fan. But the Cleveland Guardians, Cleveland Indians, whatever you refer them to, the Cleveland team is 58 and 61 at the number 4 spot, and number 5 rounding out the top 5 for the AL Central. Kansas City Royals are 49 and 71 on that mark. And a message from the network itself sent a sneak peek. Let's go. And I seen it come across my phone, but, I'm still relearning how to multitask here. So that's what we're doing. And I appreciate, like I said, I really appreciate you guys for joining me. Y'all are awesome. Y'all are just, I really appreciate it. Like, we're trying to get this thing going, been getting this thing going. We're out here grinding, just trying to give you guys all the sports takes from a female's point of view here. Going back to the MLB standings in terms of our top 5, moving into the AL West, the Houston Astros are 61 and 59. The Texas Rangers are a team that I feel like at this point are going to be a sleeper. If they can keep building off of some of the trades and some of the people that are coming off of injuries, I think the Texas Rangers are going to be able to steal that spot from the Houston Astros. Again, as a New York Yankees fan, nothing about these rankings excite me outside of the fact that the New York Yankees are number 2. Obviously, in my standards and retrospect of being a sports fan, Yankees got to be number 1 all the time. Not realistically, not happening. We all know that. But if y'all know me, y'all know how I roll. Gotta be, for me, I gotta have it. Gotta have the Yankees be at the top in some way, shape, or form. Either way, moving back into the standings here for the AL West, Houston Astros again are 61 and 59. The Texas Rangers are 60 and 59 as well. So just over 500. The Seattle Mariners are 56 and 63. Thank you for joining the fan club over here, Nader Gator. I appreciate you. Thank you for all the comments and love over here on the other side of the stream. I don't know if they're Vegas yet or if they're still Oakland. I'm calling them Oakland again because I'm an old school head. But the Vegas Oakland Athletics are 47 and 72 at that number 4 spot, and the LA Angels rounding out the rankings of the top 5 for the AL West are 45 and 74. Moving into the NL rankings, top 5, the Atlanta Braves are 71 and 48. The Philadelphia Phillies are 64 and 56. The Miami Marlins, gotta pop my back because I'm old, 60 and 59. The Washington Nationals are 59 and 61. And ironically enough, the New York Mets are 53-67 now. And I'm gonna stop and rant about my issue still with the Mets. Outside of the fact that they're the New York Mets and I'm a Yankees fan, and the Subway Series for a World Series would have been a great thing, realistically not happening just because obviously like the New York Yankees are on one tier of baseball and the Mets are way down here. Either way, I'm still mad that Cashman, the Steinbrenner family, and the Yankees organization still to this day wouldn't just pay the extra $5 million for Juan Soto. However, obviously it was a good move because they're in the last of the top 5 for the NL. Now, again, as a Yankees fan, I love to see the demise of anything that's not the Yankees. We know that. But to see them in the top 5 standings currently in baseball makes me happy because it means the game is still growing, even with some of the storied teams that have not been great lately. I love it. Moving into the NL Central, the Milwaukee Brewers are 74-45. The Chicago Cubs are 69-50. Huge shout out to PCA. Huge shout out to PCA. All I'm going to say, PCA is a dude. PCA needs more money, frankly. That's just me, though. St. Louis Cardinals, and I see Nader Gator asked about the St. Louis Cardinals. St. Louis Cardinals are number 3 in the NL Central at 59-60, so they are literally almost 500. But we need them to win a couple more games to kind of solidify that second spot in the AL Central, or the third spot in the AL Central, maybe even take over from the Cubs. But they are literally 10 games behind the Cubs, again, at that 59-60 spot. The Pittsburgh Pirates, Pat McAfee's Pittsburgh Pirates, Paul Skeens over there, Skino, and hoisting the cones over there, 58-62 on the season, currently in the top 5 for the NL Central, and the Cincinnati Reds round out the top 5 for the NL Central at 56-61. And to round out the rankings of the top 5 for MLB here, the NL West, the LA Dodgers obviously at that top spot at 71-48, obviously just acquiring Tariq Skubal and still having that main man, that bad man himself, Shohei Ohtani, doing the thing, pitching and batting and all. Just, he's a whole alien. I'm here for it. He's a whole alien. I'm here for it. And I sigh because we've literally talked a lot of baseball. We have literally talked a lot of baseball, a lot of sports here in the short amount of time we've been with you today. In that number 2 spot for the NL West, the Arizona Diamondbacks are 64-56. The San Diego Padres at number 3 are 63-57. San Francisco Giants are 49-70. And to round out the top 5 for our MLB stats here, the Colorado Rockies are 46-73. That is your top 5 for the MLB here on the Mack Truck Show, Mack Truck in the Morning-ish. I appreciate you guys for joining me. Listen, we're still here. We're talking sports. Got just about 15 minutes, 20 minutes left in the show. We got 2 more topics for you. But I want to give a shout out to you guys, the viewers, the spectators, the haters, because like I said, and I'm always going to do my best to make sure that you guys know how grateful I am for this opportunity, especially everybody at the network, the best friend, the executive producer, the main man behind the scenes. I appreciate you so much for having me on this opportunity. Like I said, I can't thank you enough. I can't be grateful enough. And we're going to get this thing rolling. We're going to give you guys great content of all kinds, not just sports, not just music, but a perfect mix of everything, a perfect mix of eccentricity, all the things, eclecticness. Listen, and right, I see the network in here. Hey, this has been the plan for years. It absolutely has, and it's great to see everything come together. Like that's where I'm sitting. Is like, damn, like we've been talking about this for years, like since we were grinding. Like I said, if you've been with me for a while, you know I was starting out doing 30-minute episodes on Spotify for podcasters when you could upload and do episodes from there. Doing daily shows for 2.5 hours of radio cuts, doing all kinds of things. Myself and Evan had our own spinoff show, and frankly, somehow we need to try to incorporate that. That's just me, though. Listen, pass the rock. If you know, you know. All I can say, if you've been around, you should remember Pass the Rock. You know what that's about. But we've got bigger and better things here, and kind of incorporating that to all of the shows that we have in terms of just sports related. So, like I said, I just wanted to give a shout out. Let's go. Let's go. Listen. All the teasers out here. Listen, don't make me listen. You gonna get me all excited and giddy and stuff. I'm so excited to be on the daily platform with you guys. I am here for it. But let's get back into sports. We're talking NFL. We're talking NFL still, obviously, with training camp being a thing. Today we stop over in Oxford. Specifically, obviously, if you know who trains in Oxford, if you need some help, the Dallas Cowboys on both sides. Well, you can't really see it because of the microphone on this side, but the Dallas Cowboys right here. And I'm gonna say this: is as excited as I am for the Dallas Cowboys, and as excited as I am to now know that we have our nose tackle and defensive tackle Quinnen Williams shirt up. And what I mean by that is Stephen Jones and Jerry Jones and the entire Jones organization in terms of the administrative side of the Dallas Cowboys finally decided to pay somebody, but it wasn't George Pickens. It was Quinnen Williams. Quinnen Williams receives a 3-year, $105.9 million extension with $35.3 million guaranteed. What? That was the first thing that came out of my mouth was, I know you lying, right? And if you can fill out the other letter that goes in between, I know you fucking lying. That is exactly what I said, but with so much respect, because that has been our struggle, and ours being the Dallas Cowboys. That was our struggle last year, was we couldn't shore up defense until we got and received Quinnen Williams. We got Kenny Brooks. We got Solomon Thomas at one point. Okay. We had a lot of pieces come in late. We now acquired obviously Caleb Downs in the draft, Malachi Lawrence in the draft as well. Got that trade from Michael Parsons, and we just couldn't seem to put it together enough to even try to squeeze out a 500 season last year, and that's okay. Hi, Alfonso. Welcome in. You did absolutely miss the Benajelini Harris Hamilton story, excuse me. But if you follow the network, follow on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, you'll be able to listen to the playback. But we did definitely talk about your topic here, and I tried to get it out. And like I said, if you guys have been with us since the beginning of our new daytime series, I did say that we were going to start switching over here, and that's partly my fault because I didn't get everything out in time, and I was finally able to unlock the camera and all the things over here. So that's why we were over here now instead of on the normal page. But all shows, for the most part, will be over here on the Truck Show. So share it out, all the things. Get your daily heart meets, join the fan club, send your gifts, everything over here as well in terms of your sports content. Now, back to the NFL. Here's my gripe with the Dallas damn Cowboys. Okay? Here's my gripe with the Dallas damn Cowboys is, while you franchise tag George Pickens, obviously for a reason. And like I said at the very beginning of this entire saga with George Pickens in its entirety, y'all gonna have to eventually pay that man. Pay that man. If you know, you know. Y'all are eventually going to have to pay George Pickens if you want to keep the high-powered receiving core that is on the offense. Yes, that's exactly what we're talking about, Alfonso. 3-year extension for $105.9 million, essentially $106 million, $35.3 million guaranteed, which is great to hear. But why did you put, if you were going to pay somebody else, just come up front and say that. 90% of the time, most players, if they're not divas, will be like, okay, well, if I'm going to take this and we're going to be able to keep pieces and still be able to be competitive, most logically thinking players will be like, okay, but just remember, I'm still here and I've been putting in work as well. And I think that's where George Pickens has been coming from. Obviously, we assured George Pickens up for this season on that franchise tag for $27.3 million for the entire length of this season. You love to see it, but it frustrates me that you decided to not pay him and just like, oh, we don't have any intentions of giving him a long-term contract right now. Obviously, we now know why, because they paid Quinnen Williams as of yesterday. More out of the NFL. The Minnesota Vikings, and I'm reporting this as it just came in before we started the show. The Minnesota Vikings have named Kyler Murray as the starting quarterback, which is crazy to me because yesterday we were just talking about how this quarterback battle could literally go into week one, and it came out via Bleacher Report, I do believe, if my cognitive memory serves me correctly. You can also find this NFL.com as well, and I'm sure you can find it on ESPN and all the other sports engine search places as well. But Kyler Murray is now the starting quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings. And to be quite honest with you, I was erring on the side that that's the way that we're going to go. I didn't, however, necessarily think that it was going to happen so fast, if that makes sense. Like, I didn't necessarily think that the Minnesota Vikings and Kevin O.C. over there were going to make this decision so fast. I see some comments here on both sides of the chat. As far as that's concerned, is JJ isn't ready yet. He's still not fully developed. Well, and that's the thing is like, and I'm going to say this, and I'm going to use this in terms of Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur Sanders isn't necessarily ready yet, but he's already been a starter. He's already played games for the Browns. Obviously, the Browns situation and the Viking situation are two completely different things. We know that. We understand that, all of the things. But and I think partly, not even partly, but a lot of it, as far as J.J. McCarthy is concerned, a lot of it has to do with the fact that he was hurt for an entire season. He came in his rookie season in 2024, got injured, completely tore, and had to get his meniscus repaired in that preseason game. And then obviously missed the entirety of the season. And then they tried him out last year at that starting position. It just wasn't going. It quarterback in 2025, 2026, 27 offseason in bringing in Kyler Murray, obviously with that trade and barter with the Arizona Cardinals. It shored up space for the Cardinals. It gave Kyler Murray to kind of that chance to research his career. And obviously, if you've watched NFL, you've watched especially Kevin O.C. and the quarterbacks that have come through Minnesota. The man is a quarterback guru. And having somebody with a powerful arm as Kyler Murray is interesting because he's been in the league for 7 years. He's been very dynamic when he hasn't been hurt. That's been the one narc on Kyler Murray, is he's been hurt. And ironically enough, he allegedly, he's not much of a vocal leader in the locker room. And sometimes you don't necessarily need a vocal leader in a locker room. There are those types of leaders that lead by physical example. That has always been something that Kyler Murray has strived upon, being a Heisman Trophy winner coming out of Oklahoma, being one of the most winning Texas high school quarterbacks coming out of Texas itself, being only 5'10", 5'11" as a quarterback in a high-powered offense that he's been in college and in the NFL thus far. Now you're moving to somebody who knows how to develop quarterbacks. Perfect example is Kirk Cousins. Perfect example is Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold was in Minnesota. Then Minnesota decided, nah, I think we're going to go a different direction. He goes to Seattle, wins a Super Bowl. So that just goes to show you the pedigree down in Minnesota. Okay, that's a thing. Now, the interesting part is what is this going to do for Kyler Murray? Because we all know Kyler Murray will extend plays with his feet. Kyler Murray, even with having those knee injuries, is still one of the fastest individuals out here. Also, one of the only players in NFL history to be drafted top the MLB draft and the NFL draft, because he was also a baseball player coming into this as well. Question here in the chat: do you think the Minnesota Vikings can make the playoffs? If they play their cards right and use their weapons in Jordan Addison and obviously Justin Jefferson, obviously having TJ Hawkinson, yes, but everything has to gel. Everything has to gel. That defense also in its entirety has to step up. You now have those pieces around you, and you now have another new quarterback coming into the system. Everybody's going to have to be on full lockdown mode. My only concern is the offensive line. And I also feel like that was part of the reason why the Minnesota Vikings did not fare how they should have last year with giving that chance to J.J. McCarthy, is they just didn't know who was going to be on the offensive line in its entirety. And I see in the comment in here, I hope Minnesota don't make it just because my ex out there. Oh my God. Listen, K. Murray, I knew you was going to come in here and say that. Listen, it's okay. I want to see them make the playoffs just to be able to say that they've been able to make progress in developing quarterbacks. Is it necessarily going to happen? I don't know. I can't tell you. But the entirety of the fact is, we all want to see competitive good football. And that's the thing is we all want to see competitive good football in its entirety. And I think with some of the changes and the additions that the Minnesota Vikings have made, especially at the quarterback position, that's what it's going to be. That's what it's going to be. And like I said, I can't guarantee that they're going to go far, just like I can't guarantee that my Dallas Cowboys are going to go far. I think the Dallas Cowboys make the wild card, and that's like, at this point for me, that's the ceiling for me, just because we had a lot of injuries. We had a lot of inconsistency. It's Brian Schottenheimer's second year as the head coach. And again, when Mike McCarthy was head coach, I didn't even know Schottenheimer was the offensive coordinator because Mike McCarthy was calling all the damn plays. So when they said that they were promoting Brian Schottenheimer to that head coaching position, my mouth hit the floor. My mouth hit the floor. I see some more comments here on both sides, and we're going to get to these comments and then move into our preview of UFC 330 here on the Mack podcast. Yes, Cameron, we are different this season, but I don't want to be that typical Dallas fan, which I'm not. I never have been. It's not our year, but we are definitely different. How different, whether it's good or negative, we'll never know. More comments here. Alfonso, Philly might not win their division this year, though. It's going to be a battle between Philly and Dallas. And unfortunately for the NFC East, it's always a battle of division with the Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys. They are two of the most high-powered offensive teams. They are the two best teams, obviously, in the NFC East in its entirety. Dallas just has to continue to show consistency. And the other thing for me, as far as the Philadelphia Eagles are concerned, is they have a brand new offensive coordinator who has never been an offensive coordinator in its entirety, in Sean Mannion. What are you going to do with all those pieces you have? You now no longer have A.J. Brown as well. A.J. Brown is now catching passes for Drake May and his old coach in Mike Vrabel. So what are you going to do to replace that? Are you going to finally decide to make Devontae Smith the number one? Do you also still have this super cool guy named Saquon Barkley, who is a Swiss Army knife? How are you going to use him? How are you going to use Dallas Goedert? How are you going to use all of these pieces? It's going to be interesting. You also still have Tanner McKee as the backup quarterback, and I'm interested to see if Jalen Hurts doesn't live up to the expectations. I'm interested to see if they start to play Tanner McKee. I can't see it happening, but it's an interesting take over there. More quick comments here. I think we go to the playoffs. I'll just leave it there. That's fair. I'm not going to argue that with you. I am not going to argue that with you at all. Christian Parker is a real one, and he's not playing with the others. Fair. That is true. Christian Parker, our defensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys, is not one to mess with. That I will absolutely give you. One more comment here before we move into the UFC 330 full recap, looking at the additions and the veterans as it's different atmosphere. Yeah, that's fair. Absolutely. Every season is a different season. Every season is a different atmosphere in its entirety itself. Before we move into our last topic here on the Mack Truck Show, Mack Truck in the Morning-ish, please go ahead and like, share, and subscribe to everything on the Underknown Network as well. Go ahead and tap the screen here, get all your dailies, send all the things, share it out, post it to your story as well, because we are moving to this platform as far as the day truck show itself, unless something happens. I just decide to have all the sports content back on the normal page in its entirety. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Now, moving in to UFC 330, which is this Saturday, the 15th. And I can't exactly say that. I'm excited because I'm an MMA fighter. I'm excited because I'm a giant UFC fan, been a UFC fan since it was on Spike TV. Okay. This card is interesting, though. Obviously, is Islam Makhachev versus Ian Machado Gary for the world title in itself. Okay. The welterweight title, to be exact. My issue is there's not a lot of names on this card that are super like eye opener. Like they're not like attention grabbers. I mean, you have the co-main event, Mackenzie Dern and Jillian Robertson, which we'll get to here in a second. But in terms of just the headliner, I think that the headliner in itself is what is captivating people to this entire card. So just starting from the bottom, going to the top, Edson Barbosa again coming in at lightweight versus Esteban Ribovic. He, in terms of Edson Barbosa, is a 5-1 favorite, which I think is interesting to me. Again, if you watch the UFC, if you know the UFC, it's the UFC betting lines are very much, I feel like, probably some of the most accurate betting lines, just because with combat sports and collision sports, it takes one punch for the odds to flip. It takes records for the odds to flip so fast. It just depends on who you are in its entirety. Now, like I said, Edson Barbosa comes in to this fight 24-14-0. Obviously, just about 5'11", is an orthodox fighter, and his takedown defense is not to be played with. But respectfully, on the other side, Esteban Ribovic is 15-3, has a lot of experience, but doesn't have a lot of experience as far as the UFC is concerned. He's 5'10". Also coming in at lightweight at 155 pounds, is also orthodox, and his profile is 1.7. Now, I think depending on how this first fight in general goes, I think Edson Barbosa is going to propel himself back into the top 10 rankings if he's not already ranked. Some of these rankings are a little bit skewed just because they haven't been updated after the last number fight quite fast. So I'm going to take Edson Barbosa with that. I'm going to take him in round 3 by submission. Moving on into the middleweight division, Dustin Stoloftis, Philly native. Also, this card is in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as far as your main card is concerned. I love the fact that they're bringing a show to Philly. I don't think they've ever brought a show to Philly. It's also at the Xfinity Mobile Arena, again, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Dustin will be fighting Mansour Abdul-Malik, who is also 6'2". So both of them are just about 6'2". Both of them 185 pounds, obviously, in that middleweight division as well. Mansour Malik is also the odds-on favorite, again, which is interesting to me because he does not have a lot of experience. He is 9-1-1, 9 wins, 1 loss, 1 no contest. Dustin's still on to this fight, also 16-8, with a lot of that UFC pro experience as well. Very much, two of these fighters are gritty, very much ground pound, very much going to stick it out till the end, and what happens. That's where we're at. And third fight going to this UFC 330 card here on the Mack Show. Obviously, brought to you by the Iowa Hawkeyes as well. Brought to you by Dirty Dr. Pepper in this cup. Brought by all of you. Also brought to you by the Underdog Network as well. Fight number 3. And this fight card, all the number cards, if you don't know already, you can find on Paramount Plus and CBS as well. If you have Paramount Plus membership card thing, whatever you want to call it, subscription rather, getting this coming Saturday. Number 3, Charles Johnson versus Jose Ocha in the flyweight division. This is an interesting one because Charles Johnson, I feel like, has been fighting for a very long time. Comes into this realm at just a little bit shorter than me at 5'9". He is also an orthodox fighter as well. And I feel like this is a name that we haven't seen or heard of a lot. I do know that he's had some injuries. I do know that he's taken a couple instances of time off. But I think Charles Johnson wins this over Jose Ocha, both at 125 pounds, 70-inch reach. He is a switch stance fighter, which is what makes this thing so interesting. While Ocha is a southpaw, again, like myself, I am also a southpaw. For those of you who don't know what southpaw is, left hand. Your power comes for your left hand. You either right with your left hand, all the things. Kick with your left hand, left side, all the things. Charles Johnson is a switch fighter. So he's going to be able to see things coming from either direction, while Jose Ocha is only going to see it from the left side. But being a lefty fighter, you see things coming from the opposite side, but you don't necessarily see them coming from the side you are fighting in. So I said a lot of these are very interesting. Obviously, with our co-main event here in the women's strawweight title fight, Brazilian Mackenzie Dern, the champion, defends her title this Saturday at 16 5-0 against the Canadian clobber that is Jillian Robertson. She comes in this fight 17-8-0. If you guys watched the title, and I say rescindance because Mackenzie Dern took this title and won the last time she fought, she completely obliterated the opponent from head to toe and on the ground. It was like poetry in motion. And I get so excited talking about it because I love MMA. MMA is one of my most favorite sports. It's one of my very few like true passions when it comes to sports itself. I have 3 of them. It's football, MMA, and figure skating. And don't judge, because if you know me personally, you know why I love figure skating so much. Either way, it's poetry in motion when you're watching Mackenzie Dern fight. And obviously, I'm going to go for her because her name is Mackenzie. Duh. What we talk about right now, what we talk about. Anybody with the name Mack or Mackenzie, I'm automatically going with. And it's absolutely biased. I don't give a damn. It's fine. Both of them coming into this fight at 115 pounds, soaking wet. And if you don't know how small that is, just go look it up. You're going to be like, wow, people fight at this weight. And I believe the smallest weight in competitive MMA is atom weight, which is 105. I've never in my life seen a 105 fighter in terms of the pros. I did, however, have a 105 fighter in my training camp and my team when I was back in Iowa. Shout out to Donna. Miss you, girl. Anyway, moving in to our final main event here, Islam Makhachev versus Ian Machado Gary for the UFC World Welterweight title. That is your main event here. Obviously, UFC 330 at Xfinity Mobile Arena in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Islam Makhachev comes in this fight 28-1. 28 wins, 1 loss. Ian Machado Gary also comes into this fight at 17-1. And this is the interesting thing about this fight is Ian Machado Gary is 6'4". Islam Makhachev is 5'10". They're both 170. Obviously, Islam's 34. Ian Machado Gary is 28. So he being Machado Gary is still in his prime. I am so excited to see this fight because we have a very similar stance issue when it comes to this fight because Ian Machado Gary is an orthodox fighter while Islam Makhachev is a switch stance but primarily southpaw fighter. I don't really know who I want to win this one or who I think is going to win. I think obviously with history, if you've watched the sport, if you follow the sport, historically speaking, Islam Makhachev should win this fight. If it were probably another person or another type of fighter, Ian Machado Gary is not your typical long, lengthy fighter. He has a lot of power. He knows how to fight with his length. And I feel like it's going to be a little bit difficult for Islam Makhachev to find his spots because Ian Machado Gary he's already so tall and he fights so long as well. So his reach is 74.5 to Islam Makhachev's 70.5. So that's damn near 5 inches of reach between the two of them. Obviously 5 inches in height, 5 inches of reach, the same thing. You guys know how that works. Ian Machado Gary has a very interesting fighting style in terms of having that very elongated, bouncy, choppy karate stance. Kind of similar to Conor McGregor, but just not so flat-footed. He's very light on his feet, all the things. Islam Makhachev, also the same thing, but very much will take you to the ground. My fear for Ian Machado Gary is I don't know if he's got enough in the ground game arsenal to get himself back up and standing. Because if we keep this standing, I think Ian Machado Gary can come out with the win. If Islam Makhachev finds his shots, though, and if he is able to find an angle to get that single ankle pick and those single leg takedowns that he likes to do, I think that this could end very badly for Ian Machado Gary. And also, one other thing about this is Ian Machado Gary has not ever been used to just one fight camp, like training and fighting, having a fight camp out of one place. And I think for him, that's where a lot of his success has become, where a lot of, obviously, the typical way of being a fighter, being a boxer, being a wrestler is you have a school, you have a camp, you have a team of people, one team that you train with, prepare with, all the things. Ian Machado Gary is more of a journeyman when it comes to his training camps and fight centrals. He does have a coach, and I do believe that that coach travels with him, but they don't necessarily have their own gym or team. And it's kind of interesting because each fight that he's gone to, his training camp has been somewhere else. His training camp has either been in the city or country that he is fighting in, or it's been in kind of a centralized spot, but not necessarily the team. And I think there's a little bit of an advantage because he sees and learns different things rather than just being in the same gym with the same people, training partners, all the things. It's a very interesting matchup because coming out of that Russian style of fight camp and training with Islam Makhachev, it also creates a grappling issue because everybody knows that Russians are known for their ground and pound and their submissions and just the fact that you can be small and compact and I'm still going to make you suffer. It's so great. It's so great. Well, listen, that's all we got today. We did the majority. It was pretty decent, not gonna lie. Could have been better, always could be better. But that's what we're coming back tomorrow for. So I appreciate you guys for being here with me. Tomorrow's docket is going to be a secret. I'm excited. We're going to get it together. I'm going to let it be known. So make sure, again, you guys are liking, following, sharing, subscribing, all things Underknown Network, all things Mack Truck Podcast as well, Mack Truck in the Morning-ish. Make sure you're following, at least on the TikTok sphere, if you're there, make sure you're following the Truck Pod page. Again, that's where all daily shows will be from now on, again, unless something happens. If you're here on Discord, Facebook, StreamYard, the Mack Truck page, the Underknown Network page, all things YouTube and such, thank you for being here. If you're here on the other side, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Again, my name is Mack Truck. We'll be back tomorrow, probably about the same time. I've had a little bit of schedule issues, but we're still here for that good hour or so. Again, going to try to keep getting it back up to that hour and a half, but adulting in life does get in the way. I got to go eat something, feed my back fat before I go work for 8 hours. But I appreciate you guys for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Mack Truck from Mack Truck in the Morning-ish, the Mack Truck podcast presented to you by the Underknown Network as well as TikTok Live and StreamYard. Make sure you like, follow, share, subscribe. Make sure you're getting all your Mack Truck pod apparel at inmybag.bigcartel.com as well as the TikTok shop. Signing off for the day. That me and my estranged pinky that just doesn't like to straighten up. It's fine. That's years of softball and sports, and don't make fun of my pinkies. It's fine. For myself, for our executive producer, my name is Mack Truck. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Stay tuned and stay sporty. See you on the next one.